GNC has a foot traffic problem, and the only way to solve it is...
And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Well, obviously, I'm just kidding there, but maybe they need to focus more on influencer-led brands. So in the first 6 months of performance for GNC, they are seeing a same-store comp number down 3.1%. That is accelerated from 2018 full year. I think they had about a 1% decrease in same-store comps for their corporate stores, and then about a 3% down number for their franchise stores. So we're talking about here on the North American numbers. And since the foot traffic and sales are down in a lot of the locations for GNC, a lot of the economics around those stores, the store economics, just don't make sense anymore. And because of that, GNC has been looking at this store optimization plan. I've been talking about this store optimization plan for much of the last year or so. You guys have probably also seen it from a ton of different media outlets talking about, 700, 900, all these different numbers of store locations that GNC is planning to close. And to be honest, if you're paying any attention to this idea of like a retail apocalypse, this isn't a GNC problem, this is a retail problem overall. This is primarily a problem because e-commerce right now is somewhere around like 16% of total retail sales. It's going to be set to move up to 25% or more in the next about half decade. So because of this is creating a big problem for physical retail. UBS, that's an investment firm, took a look at this. This is a retail analyst basically saying that every 1% of e-commerce percentage of a total sales that increases, more penetration of that e-commerce, U.S. physical retail market needs to close 8,000 to 8,500 stores per 1%. So I think this year they said there's already been somewhere around like 12,000 locations total. And I'm not talking about just like supplement stores. I'm talking about just total retail. So this is department stores. This is other specialty retailers. This could be all kinds of different stores. But it basically lets you know that as more people shop online, the less need for total store locations. So in an area that you might have needed 30 10 years ago, you might only need 15 now. So that's not to say that they're going to completely go away from different metro areas within the US, but what it's saying is it doesn't need to be as many as it used to be to serve those lesser amount of customers that are going into store over just shopping online. So faced with this macro trend, something that really can't be slowed down on a GNC level, what can they do to make sure that it's subsided in their direction? Like, what can they do to try to prop up their physical retail sales as long as possible? So at the beginning of the video, I talked about influencers and just the idea of influencer-led brands. This is obviously not going to save GNC, but along with them changing their operating model and closing stores, they're going to be doing that regardless. They are able to extend their runway, which is extremely important right now in retail. There's a lot of just change that's happening from an omni-channel perspective, technology that's getting implemented into physical retail that has this mashup of digital and online, and because you need some time for that to be in market and see what happens, extending the runway long enough to see if that's going to work or not gives a retailer like GNC hope that they can strike gold with some of these strategic initiatives that they have going on from the omni-channel perspective. GNC, just like most retailers at this point, or hopefully most retailers at this point, are trying to figure out how to create an exclusive experience. Now in retail, especially specialty retail, it's extremely important to provide a special experience. And now that could be done in so many different ways. In this video, I'm only going to be talking about like the merchandising and one specific tactic within merchandising. I'm not going to be talking about the full cycle here and just all the different things that you could do to create an exclusive experience. I have sprinkled those into countless videos. If you guys are a normal watcher of my videos, I would go back and watch a ton of different videos that I have around different retail strategy. But specifically, we're talking about GNC here, and we're talking about the merchandising strategy to create this exclusive experience. Now, GNC does have 53% of their sales that are going through private label products. They are private label products. So that in itself does create an exclusive experience. Over 50% of their sales are going to something that you really can't get anywhere else. Now, I know you can get it online on GNC. They also have it available on Amazon and through some different partnerships. So it's not a completely exclusive experience, but it is comparable to some of the other third-party products. And GNC is expected to incrementally add some of that to that percentage like they have over the last couple of years. It adds about 1 or 2% every year. In a comparison standpoint, it's the 53% is not as much as a retailer like Vitamin World. I think they're 70 or 80%, much smaller retailer. But if you also look at some of like the other regional specialty supplement stores, they are also somewhere up in that range. But GNC is much higher in their main physical retail competitor, Vitamin Shop. Vitamin Shop does not have as much of their revenue coming from private labels. They are accelerating that. They're really focused on private label now, but that just gives you guys this, an idea like comparatively where GNC sits. But regardless, you got about 50% still in third-party products. So if you are stocking these stores, what should GNC do? Like, what should they stock? Now, obviously, you can go to top sellers, and I think that that's been the strategy for the longest time. You have to stock the top sellers. I think in retail today, that's becoming a little bit less tough to justify because people can buy those things anywhere. So if I was a GNC, obviously as a leader of nutritional supplements, sports nutrition, all those types of products, I would stock the top 1 or 2 market leaders in that section. Anything else can go online or it could be special ordered from an omni-channel approach within the store. What we need to do is make sure that what is stocked in store is driving people to the store. So what is left? And I'm not going to be considering like food and beverage, convenience type items. I know that is becoming more and more important for retailers, specialty retailers in supplements, but we're going to exclude that for this thing. So what I'm talking about here is you need to match your strategy from the private label aspect. The other 50% needs to be very much focused on exclusive products. And the old way of thinking about exclusive products with third parties is that you basically get a line extension, some unique second brand or product extension, or maybe exclusive flavors or something that is from existing leading brands. And that has been the strategy for the longest time. But what that does is it cannibalizes some of the core products of those brands. It doesn't really add a lot of incremental or new foot traffic, and that's what GNC needs to be focused on. They're not focused on getting a few incremental sales. They're focused on getting more customers in the door and different customers in the door than has been coming over the last few decades. So to me, GNC needs to find products or brands that are going to serve that problem they're trying to solve with increasing foot traffic and getting more foot traffic, getting different foot traffic into those stores. So I would be focusing on unique offerings. That's obvious. I mean, as a specialty retailer, you need to be focused on unique offerings to make sure that people have a reason to come in. Fragmented offerings, that is a big driver right now in functional CPG. GNC is not at the point right now that they could take on all that risk. So they need to find third-party exclusive partners that will create fragmented offerings that could then be replicated in the future by GNC with their private label after they've gotten sales data and they know this is going to be a winner. And then brands that have mass media marketing levers that could also be exclusive. So that's going to be a very small amount of brands that are probably going to fit into that. But right now, GNC doesn't have the money to go out and spend a ton of money on mass media marketing. They're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money on TV ads and all these different things. So if you can find a brand that is willing to do that for you and also have those marketing metrics, the people watching that commercial go into the store, that could be a big winner for GNC. Now, if we throw a layer of influencer-led brands on top of that that also have those attributes I just talked about, this is what you're creating with real winners. This is what's really going to drive the needle for GNC. Again, these more than likely are not going to save GNC if we're talking about just drastically going to change the situation at GNC. This is going to be what extends the runway. And if you extend the runway long enough and you get enough of indicators and feedback from some of the omni-channel initiatives, strategic initiatives that you're creating, and you're really getting some traction there, that's going to be what could potentially propel your business back to a level that is healthy. So just like a few brands, you guys know these brands probably, you guys have seen them, but these kind of fit what I'm talking about, and they are in an order that kind of fits what I just talked about. With like Ghost Lifestyle, unique offerings, like having the licensed flavors, that provides a ton of exposure for GNC. These are brands that people know and love, and because of that, it creates a selling story for those associates to be much easier to convert customers that maybe are a little bit on the edge of different products. Second one, Lonnie New. GNC has talked about it extensively, but they did throw some numbers in a recent presentation that said that 96% of the buyers of a lot of new products are women, and 45% of those buyers are new to GNC. So this is what they're trying to do. They don't throw out other numbers for Ghost, and they don't throw numbers for the next one. I'm going to be talking about Nugenics, but this is what they're trying to get to, because that's going to be, if they could get a handful of brands like that, that is what helps GNC get to that next step to hopefully dig out of this hole. And like I said, talk about Nugenics, that's kind of one of those brands I talked about with having the mass media marketing, and you see those Frank Thomas or Bo Jackson type of commercials where they're talking about they've lost some of their strength and stamina, and now they're taking Nugenics and they're driving people to get their free bottle and go into GNC. It's exclusive to GNC. So that's what you're talking about. You're not going to see a lot of those brands, and those brands are going to be hard to come by just because of the amount. If you just think about the totality of types of commercials that you see across any CPG categories like that, you don't see too many of them. So you're not going to really be able to lean on those. So they're going to be more towards what I was saying about unique offerings, exclusive unique offerings, and then some of these like fragmented offerings that have some influencers around them. And honestly, this is like a perfect time for GNC specialty retailers as a whole to take advantage of influencer-led brands. A lot of them are coming out right now, and a lot of these influencers, if they are strong influencers within their categories, they do have a lot of pull, and that pull creates the ability for them to drive that traffic to wherever. That's the goal of influencers as a whole anyway. So if you could drive them to a physical store, works out really well. You're also seeing some of the more direct-to-consumer brands in CPG categories or just consumer categories as a whole struggle to get the sales numbers they want from their aspiration level, be that as maybe they're capitalized in a certain way, they need to grow top line at a certain amount. So they're looking to partner with some physical retail or create their own physical retail. In our space, you don't see a lot of the creating their own physical retail because the brands are just not strong enough to do that from a brand equity standpoint. But what you do see is them needing to find an exclusive partner, something that they can control. It's easy, it's one partner. So GNC, this could fit perfectly, and they've been doing this, and I think they need to continue to do that. I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to do that. I know they are just bringing in another one with Julian Smith, fitness influencer. I think Arms Race Nutrition is what it's called. It's from the guys that also own America Labs. They own Core Nutritionals and America Energy. So you're seeing that being copied over and over, this influencer-led brand strategy from GNC. So right now the match is good. In the short term, it provides benefit to both sides. I don't think long term this is a solution, but if I was GNC and I'm trying to just get to that next step, extend that runway as long as possible, get some of these bigger strategic initiatives to be in market and see how they react. This is kind of the short-term prop-up they need to do in their business. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly, and if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.